Dear students, you are welcome back in this class. We continue with the topic factors affecting plant growth. So we started with some glossary, some difficult words were discussed, and then we have seen meaning of growth means it is irreversible change in size and volume of living structure with an accompanied increase in dry weight. And you have seen different phases of phenology of growth. It starts with the seed. You can start with the seed. From seed, it converts to seedling, and then to a plant that is vegetative phase, and then reproductive phase, and finally maturity. And you have also seen that how the growth happens. It is mainly by division of the cells and also by enlargement of the cell. And it is mainly done by photosynthesis. You have also seen two types of growth, determinate growth habit and indeterminate growth habit. And now you can see the growth curve. Growth rate of plant varies with time. Varies with time means initially it is very slow, which is known as lag phase. Then it is at a fast pace, fast rate, which is log phase. And then comes the stationary phase, where there is no more growth. Rather, there may be decline in growth. So you can see if you plot the increase in cell number with time, you'll find a S-shaped sigmoid curve, sigmoid growth curve, lag phase, log phase, and stationary phase. You can see in this picture, on x-axis, you have time with the time. On y-axis, you have growth. Growth can be with respect to dry weight. It can be with respect to leaf area index, can be with respect to branches, number of branches, or can be tiller number, and so on. And you can see that initially there is decline in the growth, lag phase. At this time, the seed germinate and it loses the weight. And then after seedling emergence, it starts slowly, slow growth, and then comes a phase, rapid growth phase. And after that, one is stationary. It will fix, it will not increase further. And there can be even decrease in the growth. Total amount of dry matter can decrease, mainly because of fruit fall or leaf loss, etc. So you can see this is sigmoid curve, and it is almost just like your law of diminishing return. If you've seen the curve of law of diminishing return, it is not exactly that, but quite similar to that. Now, how to measure the growth? That our plants, our crops are growing. They are doing growth. In what term? How to measure it? Is it measurable? Can we measure the growth? Yes, we can measure the growth in terms of dry matter accumulation in plants. Means we can measure the dry matter accumulation at every growth stage. Increase in height, length, or breadth. So definitely when plants are growing, they may increase in height, they may increase in length or breadth. Increase in volume is also there because they are increasing in height or breadth, then they will also increase in volume simultaneously. Increase in leaf number, and you know that most of the plant start with leaf 1, leaf 2, leaf 3, leaf 4, and they can have many number of leaves. And then size also increases. Initially, leaf is small, then it increases the size. It can be measured by leaf area index. Then increase in branching. In some crops, you will find branching, like legumes and certain oil seeds. You will see branching is there. And also some crops are tillering crops, like certain cereals. So we can measure the growth in terms of branching, in terms of tiller, leaf number, leaf size, volume, weight. There are different units of measurement of growth. Now, suppose it is you are taking dry matter. Dry matter is considered as most reliable measure to judge the plant growth or crop growth. So in this case, you can take fresh weight. Fresh weight will also indicate you the comparative growth. Entire plant harvested, cleaned, and weighed fresh. That is your fresh weight. Dry weight, you can dry your plant material at 70 to 80 degrees centigrade for 21 to 48 hours or till constant weight. So that will give you dry weight. You can cut the plant from the soil surface, above ground biomass. Dry weight is mostly for shoot. Sometimes you can take dry weight for root. if you are interested to know the root growth, you can take the dry weight of root or shoot. And it is, at 70 to 80 degrees centigrade for 21 to 48 hours. You can put it in the oven. You can take the plants or crop from a unit area. You can define the area that, okay, I have taken this 1 meter square. Plants were cut from 1 meter square area and that I have dried. So you can report dry matter based upon this area, say gram per meter square or kilogram per meter square. Even you can extrapolate it to tons or kgs per hectare. Length, suitable for organs growing in one direction with uniform diameter. So you can measure the length, root length, shoot length, etc. Area, measuring the growth of plant organs like leaf area. So this is how we measure the growth and how we work out the dry matter. Now we come to the main topic, that is growth. So now you understand the growth, type of growth, and different measurements of the growth. Now you see what are the factors that will affect the growth. So basically, farmers or growers are interested in yield. They want more yield. Here, yield means yield of the economic part. So yield definitely depends upon the growth. And growth, because if your plants or crops have sufficient growth, then only they will give you to flowers, they will give you better fruits or seeds. If growth is limited, if growth is poor, your plants are thin, they are weak, they cannot give you good yields, they cannot give you good flowers, good fruiting. So therefore, you need optimum growth. Even highest growth is not desirable. You want optimum growth, and that optimum growth can be manipulated by growth factors. These growth factors can be used to manipulate the growth or to optimize the growth. And then you will get good yields, optimum yields, and then optimum returns. The basic purpose, the fundamental purpose of crop production is to get money. It is to get return. Of course, certain farmers grow crops for their home purpose, for domestic use. But most farmers grow their crops or plants to get money, to earn money. So ultimately, they will get good money. And here you can see if farmers or people understand to manipulate the factors of growth, then they can get more returns. They can get more returns. Here, if farmer knows that for growth factors, nutrients are a growth factor, the plant nutrients are growth factor, or water is a growth factor. So they would like to economize the use of nutrients, use of water, or other inputs so that their expenses are less on cost. Expenses are less on cost, their efficiency of the input is high, therefore farmers may get more returns. Simultaneously, managing these factors to the optimum level will also protect the environment. Then you can add less pollution to the environment by crop cultivation or crop production. Therefore, understanding of the growth factors is very, very important. And as you know, that growth is basically a result of the genetics of the plant and the environment in which these plants are growing. So finally, you can see that yield is a function of genetics and environment. Genetics, the kind of plants, kind of crop you have, and kind of varieties in a crop you have. These varieties vary with the variation in the genes or variation in the genotypes. Now, you see, number of factors are there. You cannot stop listing them. Great number of factors are there. Many people say there are 100 factors. Some people say 52 factors. So you cannot number. They are numerous. So, for example, Havlin, he said 52 factors can affect the plant growth. You can see large number of factors are theirs. However, farmers can control only 45 factors. Some factors cannot be manipulated normally by farmers or growers. And all these factors must work in unison, means in harmony. These factors should work in harmony. For example, you see 52 factors. Out of these 52 factors, 50 factors are at optimum level. are at a best level, but two factors are not at best level. They are very, very limited, or they are in too much of excess. They are in excess. Then these two factors will govern the growth of the plant. They will limit the growth of the plant. So therefore, they must work in unison. Means the best combination of all factors has to be there, ideally. Of course, under practical conditions, it may not be possible. So all these factors should work in unison if you want good growth or higher yields. So out of 52 factors, 45 can be controlled by growers, but they have no control on temperature, sunlight, violent storms. They are from nature, flooding, rainfall, carbon dioxide, altitude, etc. So these are some of the factors that are beyond the reach of the farmers. And however, they can be, up to some extent, can be manipulated, like modifying the rainfall through irrigation. You can apply water, and carbon dioxide, you can add organic matter into the soil that will release carbon dioxide and which can be used by the plants. Now see, as I told you, some factors affecting the potential yield of a crop. These were given by some worker like Strauss. He suggested that these are the important factors. You can see organic matter of the soil is important factor. That does not mean that nutrients are not a factor. He just missed the nutrients. Organic matter of the soil, clay concentration, the proportion of the clay, CEC, cation exchange capacity, quantity and intensity of light, slope and topography, percentage sunshine, evaporation, transpiration ratio, RH, relative humidity, temperature, days over 90 degrees Fahrenheit, irrigation, tiles, water percolation rate, rainfall, altitude, latitude. You can see number of factors are there. But these factors are difficult to remember. Can we group them? Of course, yes, we can group them. You can see some of these factors are related to climate. You can see climate. Some of these factors, climate here means your temperature, rainfall, sunshine or light, etc. And then you can also see some factors like this latitude, altitude. They are basically indicating kind of topography. So topographical factor can also be there. Then, of course, he missed the plant factors. Plant factors are not there. Genetic factors are not there. But he has given specific growth factors. So you can just summarize these factors into groups. See, factors affecting yield and quality of potatoes. Just I am exposing you that what kind of factors can affect our yields. So you can see certain factors are controlled by the growers, farmers. From point number 8, in the list, you can see from 8 to 18. 8 to 18 can be controlled by the growers, by the farmers. But from 1 to 7 are beyond the control of the farmers, like frost-free period, air temperature, soil temperature, light intensity, day length, humidity, wind, no control. But moisture in soil, insect, disease, these are biotic factors, days grown, fertilizers, seed quality, seed piece, size, number of plants, timely operation, variety. So here you see some management factors are also there. Now, overall, based upon all these kind of information, it can be compiled into this form, and you can easily remember this classification of factors affecting plant growth. So factor can be two. One is external, other is internal. Internal factor is actually genetic factors. And what these genetic factors are doing in the plant, first thing is that they control the photosynthesis. They control the photosynthesis. Plant can be of C3 type, C4 type. So this is their genetic factor, that some plants have C3 pathway of photosynthesis, some have C4. So this is their genetic control, internal factor. And this genetic affects the growth of the plant by protein synthesis, by some different biochemical reactions which are specific to a specific species or a specific variety, and also by release of certain hormones. This genetic factor control hormones, release of hormones also. So therefore, growth is governed indirectly through hormones also. Through the vegetative manipulations or vegetative growth like tilling. Tilling is genetic factors. Some wheat plants will give you more tillers, some will give you less tillers. Some may not give you many tillers. So these genetic factors are important. So overall, you have external factors, internal or genetic factors. Now you see external factors, outside factors. There are three number: environmental, management, and socioeconomic factors. These are external factors. And then if you see we will discuss these management factors, socioeconomic factors. If you see environmental factors, there are two: abiotic and biotic factors. So these abiotic factors are non-living factors like plants wants plus light. Can you see it? This wants, WANTS, is it visible to you in the slide?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So abiotic factors are plants wants plus light. So wants, W is for water or moisture, or it can be for wind also. Then A is for atmosphere. Here atmosphere means atmospheric gases. N is for nutrients, T is for temperature, and S is for soil. So these are the important abiotic factors. You can remember WANTS, wants plus light. Then you got biotic factors. These are organisms like weeds, insect pests, and diseases. And a lot of interactions happen in the category of biotic factors. Even, for example, symbiosis. You have certain kind of symbiosis. Symbiosis in plants. You have rhizobium legume symbiosis. So that also becomes a biotic factor. Now, we start with the genetic factors, internal factors, and they are less influenced by environmental factors. However, the expression of genes or genetic factors is largely governed by the environmental conditions. The increase in crop yields and other desirable characters are related to genetic makeup of the plants. The case of wheat is a classical example. We used to have tall wheats. Tall wheats will grow very tall and they will produce less. The harvest index values may be 30% or less for tall wheats. But then slowly people develop dwarf wheat, which is the present day wheat. So they are short, and you see that they tiller more, and their height is less, but tilling is more. And because of the changes in genetic makeup, now you get harvest index of about 50%. 50% or say 45% harvest in the current wheat varieties. So that is important. So overall, per hectare, you will get more yields from the short wheat or dwarf wheat than the tall wheat. So this is example of genetics. Similarly, in certain crops, you have hybrids. So hybrids have, in general, vigorous growth than the varieties. So therefore, in hybrids, the growth is more compared to the varieties or local varieties. Now you see genetics or internal factor. This genetics has helped tremendously to improve the growth. So improved genetics has increased yield potential. Yield potential has increased because of improved genetics, because it helped better growth, more growth of the plants, or the speed of growth was more. High yields due to improved genetics may require more nutrients, but at the same time, it will need more and more inputs also. Breeding for adaptation to different fertility conditions, as I was discussing yesterday, for low fertility condition, for medium fertility condition, for high fertility conditions. So knowledge of genetics of plants or crops is also important in the sense that you can breed varieties for different fertility conditions, different abiotic stresses also. Salinity, saline soils are also there. So you can develop genotypes which can tolerate the salinity. Under those conditions, normal genotype may not do better, may not grow better. But genotypes which are resistant or tolerant to salinity condition will give you more growth, better yields, and better returns. So here, the genetics is very closely related to the growth. You can have two kinds of crops, C3 or C4. Generally, C4 plants have more growth than the C3 plant. The speed of growth is more in C plants. That is why people are trying to put the genes into rice to make it C4 plants. It is not successful yet. There is no success, but people are making these are trying to make certain C3 plant into C4 plants. High yielding ability, early maturity, these things encourage the growth. Early maturity means the plant will take less time. The growth will be quick growth. Resistance to lodging. Certain crops do lodge. Lodging is there. So if you develop varieties which can resist the lodging, their growth will be better, much better than the sensitive variety or susceptible varieties. So some breeders are developing varieties in different crops which are tolerant to lodging. Drought, flood, and salinity tolerance. Tolerance to insect pests and diseases is also important. Variety which can tolerate the invasion of insect pests and diseases can do better. They can give you better growth. Chemical composition of grain, oil content, protein content. This is really very big challenge. If you improve the quality, then you will decrease the quantity. You will decrease the quantity. If you want more oil, more protein in grains, then the growth will be restricted. You will get less growth. And if you want less oil, less protein, then you can have very bulky growth of the crops. In general, this is how you got law of this Wilcox law of what is the name? Inverse yield nitrogen law. You have inverse yield nitrogen law that will be taught to you by Dr. Rishida. So you need to compromise with the growth, the speed of growth or quantity of growth if you want quality, if you want more oil, more protein. Quality of grains, fineness, coarseness. You take the example of basmati rice and high yielding varieties. High yielding varieties give you high yield. The high yield, but if you want basmati rice, their yields are low. So quality generally means if you want quality, you will get less quantity. Now we continue with the environmental factors. Just now you have seen the genetic factor. Now we see the external factor. External factors are environmental factors, management factors, and socioeconomic factor. In environmental factors, just I told you, abiotic and biotic factors. So many of these are interrelated. Environmental factors, abiotic, particularly abiotic. Of course, there is a lot of interaction between abiotic and biotic factors also, but just you see abiotic factors. In abiotic factors, you have suppose you have plants, vants. I told you vants plus sunlight. So in vants, you have soil as a factor. So you can see many of the factors, even within the soil, they are interrelated. Soil air and soil moisture. If you want more water in the soil, if you put more water in the soil, you will have less air in the soil. So your root growth will be affected. Similarly, oxygen and carbon dioxide in soil. If you have more CO2 in the soil, you will have less oxygen in the soil. They are in almost equilibrium with the atmosphere. So exchange of gases is there in the soil. Diffusion rate of oxygen to plant roots and soil temperature. They are also related. Temperature and diffusion of oxygen. Similarly, the soil properties are also interrelated. Texture of the soil. Texture of the soil will affect the water holding capacity. Similarly, structure. Structure can affect your gas movement. Structure can affect the root growth. It can affect the nutrient availability. It can affect the microbes in the soil. So structure is influencing several other properties. Soil organic matter and organism pH. So what here I want to tell you is that most of the abiotic factors, they are interrelated. Water, for example, water. How water can control the temperature in soil? You can have 2-3 situations. One situation is that you have less water. Soils are almost dry. One, you can have mediocre situation where you have say water around field capacity. And one condition can be where you have more water, flooding is there. So how this water can control the soil temperature? Any one of you?
So specific heat of water is more one
Yeah,
affects the sudden change of the temperature. It restricts it.
good. So means you understand the role. Similarly, air, water, temperature, they are related. They can influence each other. Now we start with the temperature, because temperature is very, very important. If I ask you, what is temperature? Then you can remember just 3 words. You can remember 3 words, you can define the temperature. It is measure of intensity of heat. You can remember temperature is the measure of intensity of heat. Limits of survival for plants or organism, including bacteria or lower plants or lower animals. So the limit is minus 35 to plus 75 degrees centigrade. Organism can survive from minus 35 to plus 75 degrees centigrade, beyond which there will not be any life on the earth. However, the practical limits for plant survival is 15 to 40 degrees centigrade. Normally, most of the plants survive best at 15 to 40 degrees centigrade. You must remember this value. This usually comes in quiz exams. What is the practical limits for survival of the plants? So it is 15 to 40 degrees centigrade. Optimum temperature for plant growth are dynamic. Means you cannot say any fixed temperature for growth of the plant. The optimum temperature will vary with the species. There are different species. Some are temperate, some are tropical, some like subtropical kind of environment. So their temperature requirement may be different. The temperature requirement of, say, mustard will be different from rice or will be different from many other crops. So species differences are there. And then varietal differences are also there. Certain variety within a species may do better at X temperature and some variety may do better at Y temperature. Therefore, now people are trying to develop some heat resistant varieties or cold resistant varieties. And also duration of exposure of temperature, which is your thermoperiodism. So duration of exposure of temperature is also important, and it will be dynamic. During daytime, you require different temperature. During nighttime, you require different temperature. Age of the plant. It is also important. You must have seen cardinal temperatures or minimum temperature, optimum temperature, and maximum temperature. And similarly, with time or with a stage or phenological stage of the plant, the optimum temperature will vary. You will find for wheat, you will find different temperature optimum for germination, different for tilling, different for this vegetative growth and your maturity or flowering. Take the case of rice. The most of the time, rice, the best temperature is 25 to 30 degrees centigrade. 25 to 30 degrees centigrade. And do you know that the pollination, the best pollination in rice occurs at 33 degrees centigrade temperature. 33 degrees centigrade temperature is the best for flowering in rice. If you take lower than this or higher than this, then there is a sterility in the rice. Sterility is in the rice. There is no pollination, no fertilization. So, and when you see flowering, it is 33 degrees centigrade optimum. And at maturity, when grain filling starts, so grain filling is the optimum temperature may be 26, 27 degrees centigrade. At flowering, 33 is required, but at grain filling stage, it is 25, 26 degrees centigrade temperature for rice. So this is how this age of the plant or timing stage of the plant also decides the temperature. Now, why temperature is important? You can tell me what role temperature is playing in the plant? Why temperature? In what way temperature is important for crops or for plant? Yeah, Ankit. Why temperature is important for plant? Why I'm talking of optimum temperature? What will happen if we have optimum temperature? What will happen if we have sub-optimum temperature? Sub-optimum means lower or higher. Why temperature is important for plants? You know it here. Each one of you knows it, but only thing is you don't want to come forward.
Sir, so many metabolic activities are occurring within the plant, which occur on a particular optimum temperature that is controlled by environment.
Okay. Can you name me some activities or some physiological or biochemical functions that are affected by the plant, that are affected by temperature in plant?
Sir,
Reactions.
photosynthesis, transpiration.
Yeah.
Sir, photosynthesis, respiration.
Okay. Any other? Don't you think transpiration, photosynthesis? Yeah.
Sir, plant needs certain amount of heat unit to for physics change for development. For
True.
changing from one phase to another phase, plant requires certain amount of heat unit. So that
Correct.
is in that way temperature is important.
Yeah, good. You mean that to complete the life cycle, whole life cycle, plant will need certain quantity of heat units. Very true. So I want to add, very good. I want to add that you missed the uptake of nutrients and uptake of water. Temperature has very, very important role in uptake of nutrient by plant and uptake of water. Besides this, it has many other roles. So I would show you the role. So you can see that water and nutrient uptake is very, very important. Role of temperature, if we see. Transpiration, it has role. If you go on exceeding the temperature, if temperature is in the range of, say, 25 to 30 degrees centigrade, the rate of transpiration is almost similar, not much affected. But when it goes beyond 30 degrees centigrade, the rate of transpiration becomes very fast. And then photosynthesis, you already told me, but besides photosynthesis, temperature affects the protein synthesis also. Means there has to be some optimum level for each kind of plant for protein synthesis, means optimum temperature. Respiration, enzyme activities are influenced by temperature and many biochemical physiological functions in the plant. Cell wall permeability, it is very, very important. Normally at lower temperatures, the cell wall permeability is reduces. Similarly, at too high temperature, cell wall permeability will be affected. Microbial activity within the soil that make you nutrients available for the plant. And of course, flowering and maturity. So all these are affected by temperature. I hope it is clear to you. Indirectly, you can see indirectly organic matter decomposition is affected by temperature, because this organic matter decomposition will affect the growth of the organisms in soil, and also it will make nutrients available. And on decomposition of organic matter, you will get humus, and humus will improve physical, chemical, and biological properties of the soil. Microbial growth and development is also governed by temperature. Pollen viability, as I was discussing about case of rice, 33 degrees centigrade. If you have 40, 45 degrees centigrade, then sterility here means the pollen germination will not happen. Seed set and development is affected by temperature. Rate of senescence, as she was discussing about growing degree days, GDD or heat unit. So rate of senescence, if a plant is able to get the required growing degree days in a shorter period of time, then it will mature faster. So overall, the growth will be affected. Quality, the quality of the material is affected. I will show you how temperature affects the nutrient content or micronutrient content in plants. Seed germination is influenced by temperature. You know it very well. And pest and disease occurrence. It is also interesting that on the one side, we need optimum temperature for better growth of the plants at different phenological phases. But those optimum temperature which are good for the plant can also be good for the pest and diseases also. So indirectly, there is quite interesting interaction between temperature and pest and disease occurrence. Now you see this picture, very good picture, influence of temperature on the rate of corn leaf appearance. You know that corn or maize is a C4 plant. Is it C4 or C3 plant? Maize.
C4.
C4
C4.
plant. Okay.
C4, sir.
Okay. Is it tropical plant or subtropical or temperate plant?
Tropical.
Tropical. So maize is a tropical plant. It needs little higher temperature, and it also requires more light intensity also for better growth. So you can see that on x-axis temperature is increasing, and it is up to say 32, 33 degrees centigrade. And it is rate of leaf appearance, the production of leaf. Here you can see it is production of dry matter. You can So you are seeing this picture, and here you can see on x-axis you have temperature degree centigrade, and on y-axis you have rate of leaf appearance, leaves, number of leaves per day. So you can see it is having very linear relationship. If you are increasing the temperature, the leaf production is increasing. So that means that this particular crop would love higher temperature. Up to 32 degrees centigrade, number of leaf production is increasing linearly. Now see, this is optimum soil temperature for maximum yield of important field crops. This is just to show you some glimpse of temperature, optimal temperature. For example, for barley, 18 degree, oats, 15 to 20 degree, wheat, 20 degree, corn, 25 to 30, cotton, 28 to 30, potato, and so on. So you can see the optimal temperature range. However, these optimum temperatures vary with the crop or species. Normally, you can see you have two kinds of plants, C3 plants and C4 plants. So you can see the relationship between temperature and photosynthesis in C3 and C4 plants. So here you can see that C3 plants normally require less temperature for optimum photosynthesis or growth. In general, C4 plants requirement for temperature is higher than the C3 plant for photosynthesis or for growth, you can see. Now you see, very interesting, it is about quality of the product is affected by temperature. In plants, you have two parts. One is below ground part, which is known as root, and one is above ground part, which is known as shoot. Shoot includes your branches, stem, leaves, flower, everything. So you can see this example is for potato. See it seriously. And you have two temperature. The study was made at two temperature. One is 5 degrees centigrade, other is 29 degrees centigrade. So it is the concentration of the nutrients like phosphorus, potassium, manganese, calcium, magnesium, and iron in plant parts, in the root as well as in shoot. So T is for top, top of the plant, means the shoot part. R is the root part. And you can take any of these nutrients. Suppose you take potassium. Yeah, potassium, you can see in the slide, and this is for potassium. So these two bars are for 5 degrees centigrade, and these two bars are for 29 degrees centigrade, low temperature and high temperature. So you can see in the top, the potassium concentration is less at 5 degrees centigrade, but if you increase the temperature, it is more in the top part. But in case of root, it is reverse. In root, you will have more potassium, almost same. Yeah, it is reverse. In root, you will have more potassium at 5 degrees centigrade than at 29 degrees centigrade in roots. But so far top part is concerned, you will get more potassium at 29 degrees centigrade than at 5 degrees centigrade. Similarly, you just study yourself for other nutrients also. So this is how the temperature is affecting the concentration and uptake of nutrients. For some nutrient, the lower temperature will give more concentration in root than in shoot, and vice versa. So you need to study in detail. I have given you one chapter, factors, growth and factors affecting it. So I just copied from there, and for details, you can read from that chapter. Why it is happening, you must know it and try to understand yourself. Now, soil, another interesting fact is that temperature of the soil, temperature of the soil increases in winters and decreases in summer. So it is dynamic, influenced by the temperature. In summer, the temperature results in increased decomposition of organic matter, and lot of hydrogen ions are released that will acidify the soil. But in winter months, you will not have this. So during summer, you will have lower temperature, and during winters, you will have higher temperature in the same soil. Is that correct? The decreased pH in summer increases micronutrient availability also. So this is another advantage of acidifying the soils, that it increases the availability of certain micronutrients like iron, manganese, and copper. Now, low temperature, there can be two extremes. One can be high temperature. If you have too high temperature, then the optimum, then it will increase the respiration. It can stop the protein synthesis. It can reduce or stop the photosynthesis also. So extremes of temperature are not good. Suppose it is lower side. So reduced root growth and cell wall permeability is also reduced. Cell wall permeability is important for exchange of gases, for exchange of nutrients, for exchange of water. So reduced cell wall permeability is also there. Reduced nutrient and water uptake, reduced transpiration. Reduced transpiration means you will have less dry matter production, reduced photosynthesis, and freezing and chilling injury. So two kinds of injuries can happen because of low temperature. One is freezing injury, other is chilling injury. Let us check the difference in chilling injury and freezing and frost injury. So chilling injury is damage to plant parts caused by temperature above the freezing point, 0 degrees centigrade. The damage is mainly, chilling injury is mainly done in tropical or subtropical plant. It is not in temperate plants. Leaves may become purple or reddish. Sometimes you must have seen in case of, say, maize, etc. When you grow this crop during winter, rabi maize is grown. So you will see some discoloration. It is because of chilling injury. Frost and freezing injury. Frost appears on plants as ice crystals above the freezing point. Plants are damaged by ice crystals that form outside or inside their tissues. Means these ice crystals will be formed in the intercellular spaces or even intracellular, and that will increase the increase in volume, and cell rupture can happen. Cells can break down. So what this low temperature, according to their cold tolerance, plants are divided into 3 categories. Chill susceptible, damaged by temperature below 12 degrees centigrade. So chill susceptible plants are basically tropical or subtropical plants. So many times you must be knowing, you usually call, say, give me chilled water. Give me chilled water. Why don't you say give me cold water? Or you can say cold water, but normally people say chilled. So that means before that it was warm, it was hot, or it was warm. Then you have forced it to become cooler. Therefore, this process is known as chilled. Chill tolerant but freezing susceptible, able to acclimate or acclimatize to temperature below 12 degrees centigrade, but unable to survive freezing. This is chill tolerant but freezing susceptible. Freezing tolerant or frost tolerant are able to acclimatize to survive temperature significantly below freezing. So there are three categories of plants with respect to low temperature. Tropical plants like banana, papaya are chill susceptible. Several tropical, subtropical plants like capsicum frutescens, potato, tomato, they are chill tolerant, but freezing susceptible. And certain herbaceous or woody plants characterized as freezing tolerant originated mostly from the temperate climate. In temperate climate, you will find certain conifers, they are frost or freezing tolerant. Now, we go to the why temperature is also important because of maturity. So heat unit concept is there, which is also known as growing degree days. The number of heat units required to bring a crop to maturity. This is the definition of growing degree days. The number of heat units required to bring a crop to maturity. I'll discuss how the heat units are counted. So just you see the example, the name of the crop and number of growing degree days, baseline is 10 degrees centigrade. I'll tell you what is this 10 degrees centigrade. This is base temperature, below which it is assumed that plant will not have any growth. So Gia maize, 2700 growing degree days to crop maturity. Beta vulgaris is your, what is beta vulgaris?
Sugar beet.
Sugar
Growth
beet.
is
Good. Beta vulgaris, 130 growing degree days to emergence, just for emergence, and 1400 to 1500 growing degree days to maturity. Don't bother about these values, you need not to remember, but have some idea. Similarly, Avena sativa, what is Avena sativa?
oat.
Good. Avena sativa, 1500 to 750 degree growing degree days. So actually these are very, very important. And many times you must have observed that wheat in Madhya Pradesh matures early. Although the sowing time is almost similar in North India and Central India, but wheat matures early in Central India than in North India. So this growing degree days is the reason. Sowing time is almost similar, October, November, but in Madhya Pradesh, it is harvested in after 20th March, I think they start harvesting wheat. But in here, it is harvested around 15 to 20 April. So because in Madhya Pradesh or Central India, plants get the necessary growing degree days in shorter period of time because of this light, sufficient light is coming, and light carries temperature also, so or solar radiation. But in north, most of the time in winter it is cloudy and it takes long time to acquire the required quantity of heat units. So therefore the duration of heat is generally more in northern India, states like Punjab, Haryana, than in central India, Madhya Pradesh. So the main reason is heat unit or growing degree days. Even today, we are talking of terminal heat. Terminal heat you will have forced maturity because the required heat degrees will be accumulated in very shorter period of time due to increased temperature. So it is forced maturity, and definitely it is not good that in lesser time you are getting the required temperature degrees. So the growing degree day or GDD is a heat index that can be used to predict when a crop will reach maturity. Each day's GDD is calculated. Every day's GDD will be calculated by subtracting a reference temperature, that is base temperature, which varies with plant species from daily mean temperature. We ignore values less than 0. The reference temperature for a given plant is the temperature below which its development slows or stops. So it can be calculated taking the average of the daily maximum and minimum temperature compared to a base temperature, usually 10 degrees centigrade as an equation, T max plus T min divided by 2 whole minus T base. So you can understand with the example, a day with a high of 20, maximum temperature 23, minimum 12, and base 10 degrees centigrade. So you can calculate it 23 plus 12 by 2 minus 10. So you get 7.5. Suppose the whole requirement is 1500 degrees and one day you are getting 7.5. So you can divide the duration by the growing degree days by this that is received in 1 day. So you can calculate the duration of the crop. Now, can we modify the temperature? I just forgot to tell you the problem with the high temperature. High temperature will stop the photosynthesis. It will lead to increased respiration, transpiration, and so on. And finally, it will reduce the growth. Now, can we manipulate the effect of the soil temperature? So yes, up to some extent, we can do it. Alteration in time of sowing, as I was referring the case of wheat, where you can have forced maturity in the month of March and April. So if you bring sowing time little early, say in October, then this manipulation in sowing time can alter the receipt of high temperature during flowering or grain filling period. Amount of clay. So amount of clay is very, very important. It plays many role in soil. So it also modifies or controls the temperature. Can anyone tell me role of clay in temperature management in soil? You can have two kind of soil. In one, you have say 15% clay. In another, you have 35% clay. So which kind of soil will modify the temperature more? Modify means if air temperatures are low, can it modify?
Sir, in clay content has high porosity, that is its water holding capacity is high, and as water has high specific heat, that's why, sir, it will modify the temperature.
Good. This is one reason. Any other reason? Any other reason? So you try to find out, this is your homework. As we increase the clay content in soil, its influence on temperature. What will be the influence of increased clay in soil on soil temperature? Please study it yourself, and tomorrow or next time you explain me the reason why it happens. Okay. Prepare the complete answer for this. Then we can modify the temperature by moisture or irrigation. Just now he has told the role of water irrigation. In both cases, if you have extremes of temperature, then also it will cool down the soil. And if you have lower temperature, then also it increases the temperature of the soil. So in both cases, this water is good for the plant because it modifies the temperature. Drainage also, if you sometimes during daytime you get very extremes of temperature. So drainage can be done during daytime, and in the night you can put the water back. So this drainage practice can also modify temperature. Mulching also modifies temperature. It optimizes temperature. It can increase the lower temperature to high and higher to low. So it has very good effect on soil temperature. Similarly, we can control or manipulate the temperature by intercropping. Intercropping, certain shade-loving plant can be grown under the shade, agroforestry system or multi-storied cropping system. We can manipulate the temperature. So these are certain avenues or areas or strategies by which we can modify the temperature. For details, you read the chapter I gave you related to growth. Now, the next factor is moisture or water. Moisture or water. Okay, I think we are about to complete the time, and I can stop share here. And just 1 or 2 minutes are left. So you can open your videos.
Sir,
Yeah, questions, please.
no, sir, I wanted to answer that one, influence of clay content on temperature.
Welcome.
So that as a thermal conductivity of sandy soil is higher compared to that of the clay soil. So the I mean, as the soil moisture content increases, the thermal conductivity also increases. So for the sandy soil, which has a lower thermal conductivity, the clay, it cannot moderate the temperature that much as the therm. Okay, sorry. So as a sandy soil has as a sandy soil has a higher lower as a sandy soil.
No problem. You have fair idea. Now I suggest all of you to find answer of this question, and tomorrow you can explain to the class. Okay, so please find this answer. You now just I have put a spark on this subject. It is up to you to explore more this subject. Now you have some interest. My job was to make you interesting in this topic. Rest is you to learn yourself. So if you have any question from today's lecture, you can discuss, you can ask. Or if you feel shy, you can send me your question by email also. We can discuss through email. We can learn from each other. So thank you very much. And I stop recording.